Alright, in this example, I want you to graph y equals 2/3 cosine x plus pi over 6. We're doing the first same things. We're going to find all of our information that we know. To find the period, I need what letter class? So y equals a cosine b x minus c. Class, does this say a plus sign? I'm sorry, does this say a minus sign?
No.
So let's rewrite it with a minus sign. Y equals what? 2/3 Class, the period uses which equation?
2 pi over b.
So I need my b value, which is what number? So 2 pi over 1. My period, my graph will start and finish by a length of 2 pi. My amplitude, absolute value of a. What is our a value?
2/3.
2/3. So I have an amplitude of 2/3. Phase shift, which is our c value. What's our c value cost? Negative pi over 6. Remember, the formula must have a minus sign, and that's why we changed our plus sign to a minus negative. So I have negative pi over 6. Class, which direction are you going? Left. Pi over 6. Remember my silly phrase? Add to x, go west. You're going west pi over 6. Your c value is negative pi over 6, and you're going to shift it over pi over 6. Alright, to find our intervals now, my 4 intervals. This is a new part. We're going to put it now between 0 and 2 pi. And this will help us figure out the start and the end. So you're going to take that as your equation, put it in the middle there. X plus pi over 6. And here we're just going to solve. And subtract pi over 6 in the middle. It's essentially 2 inequalities at the same time. Now here I might as well be wise and just change all of my fractions to denominator 6. X. This one is 2 pi over 1. Class, how do I make this a denominator 6? Multiply by 1, 6 over 6, so this gives us 12 pi over 6. So class, what's 12 minus 1? 11 pi over 6. Let's get our 5 x values now. Now, notice how we don't have 0 anymore. So when you draw your graph, just draw 5 equally spaced points. So 5 points, 4 intervals, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to put in here negative pi over 6. And over here 11 pi over 6. And now we're basically just doing a bunch of midpoints. Class, what's negative 1 plus 11? And 10 divided by 2? 5 pi over 6. Class, what's 5 plus 11? And 16 divided by 2? So what is 8 pi over 6 reduced to? 4 pi over 3. What's negative 1 plus 5? 4. And what's 4 divided by 2? 2. And 2 pi over 6 reduces to? 1 pi over 3. Now, after you complete these 5 points, you can identify where 0 is, the y-axis. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Notice how it's between a negative and a positive. So kind of just draw your line there. Alright, let's go ahead and get our x values now. So x is now, no longer are you starting at 0, you're starting with your phase shift, which is negative pi over 6. Now I'm going to take cosine of, I'm going to do x plus pi over 6. Let's think about this. If I have an x value here, and I add that to pi over 6, what do you get? Negative 1 pi over 6 plus 1 pi over 6. They're opposites, you get 0. Pi over 3, which is 2 pi over 6, plus 1 pi over 6, you get 3 pi over 6. And 3 pi over 6 reduces to? Oh, do we recognize a pattern? What do these become? 5 plus 1, 6. 6 pi over 6 is pi. Everyone say always quadrantal.
Always quadrantal.
You always come back to the quadrantal angles. Now I'm going to take cosine of those values. Class, what's cosine at 0? Cosine of pi over 2? 0. Cosine of pi? Cosine of 3 pi over 2? And the last thing, we're just going to multiply now by 2/3. Class, what's 2/3 times 1? Here? Now I can just take those values and graph it. Up here is 1, so 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. At negative pi over 6, I have 2/3. At pi over 3, I have 0. At 5 pi over 6, I have negative 2/3. 4 pi over 3, I have 0. 11 pi over 6, 2/3. Now the big idea for this problem is there's a horizontal shift this amount. Do you see that? No longer was it right off the axis, it's now been pushed off to the left pi over 6. And then we just did a vertical dilation, so this is a number less than 1, therefore it's a compression. And we can tell that by the amplitude. Remember, the period ends where it starts and it ends. This is a distance of 2 pi. And that's how you graph with a horizontal shift.